Talking Podcast. I'm JJ Starr.
And I'm Downtown Andy.
Well, welcome. We're here to talk and bring a little civil discourse to an otherwise discordant world.
How are you, JJ?
I'm okay. I'm doing all right.
Are you going to ask me how I am?
How are you?
Andy!
Andy! Not who are you. How are you?
I'm, as I typically tend to say to my coworkers, I'm getting there.
You're getting there?
I'm getting there.
Just little by little. Every day is a new day.
I'm not full of shit this week.
Well, that's good.
I'm a little drained. I'm a little exhausted.
Well, it's late and we just did like a speed run through the grocery store.
Just like our first date.
No, we took our time on our first date.
We sure did. I'm just saying our first date, included the grocery store.
It did include the grocery store.
And you in a skeleton costume riding my cart.
That's true.
And that's not a euphemism.
I believe, was I wearing this hat? No, I wasn't wearing a hat that night.
No. Because I could see your pigtails.
But I did have my eyes. I have one pigtail. So I'm
Where's the rest of you?
I'm on the go. I'm on the upswing. But yeah, before we get into it, let's get into the rules. We do have 3 rules, right?
Those damn rules.
Well, they're good rules. Important rules.
For the sake of civility.
Rules for life.
Rules
really.
for your everyday life.
I think so.
Wait, does that mean we get to start calling you Lori Beth Denberg?
No, please don't. Please don't. No.
It's okay. If we do, you can start calling me Pierre Escargot.
Rules.
Ruels.
And they are no judgment, nothing personal, and don't be a dick. Right? I want to talk about something.
Isn't that my line?
You want to talk about something?
No, it's what do you want to talk about?
I want to talk about something.
We are off our game today.
Well, it's late. So we have talked about this on the podcast before, that you have asked me both on the podcast and off whether or not I listen to other podcasts for information.
Yeah.
And I really don't. I'm not a big fan of listening to like interviews or commentary or anything like that. Like my podcasting,
for entertainment,
is strictly for entertainment.
I think I said this before as well. I've cut back like dramatically.
Yeah.
I've been back at my music lately as opposed to podcasts.
Nice.
Yeah, it is. It's like going in a time machine.
So lately, however, I have the dog just did a belly flop. I have reacquainted myself with the way I heard it with Mike Rowe.
Which, yeah,
and I did introduce it to you on the slide.
I'm still trying to remember where I know Mike Rowe from.
He was the host of Dirty Jobs.
I didn't watch it.
Okay, well then I wouldn't know what you know him from.
It sounds.
He's the voice in a lot of built Ford Tough commercials.
I'm sure I'll figure it out at some point.
Shark Week also. I don't know. I don't know where you
my brain is, with everything that's happened in the last couple of weeks, my brain's been scattered.
Well, I have reacquainted myself with this fine gentleman's podcast, and it is an interview podcast, and it is similar to this. It's just a conversation
between two people.
Between two people is really what it is. But recently, I've looked at some more recent episodes and everything, because again, took a long break from it. I don't know why, because
everybody needs a break every once in a while.
So I took a break from it. I came back to
Relaxed,
it, and
refreshed.
I was listening to an episode where he was having a conversation with Gene Simmons.
Mm-hmm.
And I shared this with you, but I don't think you had a chance to peek at it. It is, hi, baby.
Oh, hey there, baby.
She's here for it. She's here to make sure we don't fuck up. So
she's licking my knee.
They were talking about, all kinds of stuff. And they were talking about this, that, and the other thing. You getting a kick out of that?
She's licking my knee.
She's trying to grab attention. She's like, you guys literally been gone all night.
Sadie, this is not the Rainbow Room.
Inappropriate. Come on, get in your producer's chair.
Was that your cheer back in high school? Inappropriate.
Yeah, that's what they cheered for me. So in listening to this conversation that Mike Rowe and Gene Simmons were having, there were bits and bobs of it that really sort of stuck out to me, and things that you and I have a tendency to bring up on this podcast.
I'd love to know if it was anything other than Gene Simmons' like usual repertoire. when he does interviews, he kind of just repeats like a lot of his history and a lot of his like backstory and things like that.
There were pieces of that in there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But that's
among a whole lot of other things too.
Okay.
Yeah.
I mean, I did enjoy his book, which you got me, so
well, good.
I could see myself giving this a listen.
So there was something that he brought up that really sort of stuck out at me because it is something that you and I have talked about.
Gene Simmons or Mike Rowe?
Well, Gene Simmons brought it up.
Okay.
He made a comment about how, he came from such humble beginnings and everything. And because he came from humble, origins and everything, he was a poor child, and an immigrant and everything like that. And because of that, he has developed more gratitude for what he has come to achieve and what he has earned in his lifetime. I mean, the man's 75 years old.
Probably also, I was going to say, because he's nearing potentially the end of his life.
He's still kicking.
He's still kicking. Yeah, right. But he's over the hill at this point.
He is 75 years old. Yeah. But he had.
But bless him for being 75 and still going out and playing and touring.
Yeah. And that's just it, is he was talking about, and it was really just sort of like a grazing over it kind of passing comment that to come from nothing would actually increase your gratitude and cause you to be a better person. That money is not the root of all evil, that poverty is actually the root of all evil. In that if you don't have money or a home or certain things and everything, you are more likely to resort to crime and things like that. So it's not even the drive to have money and everything, and that coming from nothing, once you achieve those things, you would actually be more grateful and be a better person for it.
Wait, I'm confused. So he was saying that
excuse my obsessive water consumption.
Poverty is the root of evil?
Is more the root of evil than money is. Like everyone says that money is the root of all evil, and it's not. He was suggesting that, to be impoverished and to have want would actually more likely spark you to commit crime and things like that.
I'm going to call BS on that because I think that's a tremendously generational concept. Okay. Because when you look at people of his generation and prior who started in poverty and worked their way into wealth, I mean, you get the result that is Gene Simmons, who's an incredibly noble and generous individual and grateful individual. But now, especially, I mean, wherever you get your news, it really doesn't matter. But more so nowadays, I would think, I certainly have heard that, people are more inclined to resort to bad decision making when they are brought up in poverty.
Okay. And that's the point, is that, but being brought up in poverty and remaining in poverty, like if you're brought up, if that's the point that he was making, is that if you are brought up in poverty and you remain impoverished, that you are more likely to make bad decisions and cause hurt and commit crime than you are if you have money.
I mean, I've never met anyone, I don't think, that has aspired to poverty. I mean, I certainly haven't. But, I mean, again, I go back to thinking, like, is this a generational thing? I mean, because there are some people now that, I don't even know if they aspire to wealth or not, but they don't seem so dissatisfied with staying in poverty.
I am not suggesting that anyone is aspiring to poverty.
I would hope not.
I would never suggest such a thing because I'm not a dum-dum. You know that. But that is what I'm saying, is that he suggested that coming from nothing and achieving, life, liberty, and happiness, that you are more grateful because of what you're more grateful for what you now have because you didn't used to have it.
Exactly.
I think that's a generational thing, though. Because and he was saying, in what sense? Well, he was saying all of these things that, like this, the up and coming loudmouth generation that is coming, post millennial kind of thing. And I don't like being labeled a millennial.
We're not millennials.
Well, chronologically, apparently we
listen,
are. But,
society doesn't get to change the name on generations because they didn't like the first one they labeled us with.
So he was, this new loudmouth generation, and that's my term, not his. I'm not going to misquote the man. Excuse me. He was saying that, that they're screaming all of these things. And I mean, we saw this weekend all of the kicking and screaming. Not to belittle anyone's desire to go out and kick and scream. Fine. Not my cup of tea, but if, you do you. And these people suggesting that they have, the right to they have the right to wealth. They have the right to achieve. They have the right to health care and stuff like that. It's like, actually, you don't have any of these rights.
You have the basic human rights.
Correct.
We all have the basic human rights.
We all have the basic human rights. And the idea that you are, what's the opposite of optimizing? You're unoptimizing your time by kicking and screaming about these things and these rights that you don't actually have. You have the right to go out and make these things for yourself. Everyone does. Everyone
has those opportunities, yes.
But the fact that these people who are kicking and screaming about, these conditions under which they're being forced to live and everything, and it's like, none of you are being forced to live under any of these conditions.
No, that's just the how they want to portray it.
Exactly. And my question becomes, where is the gratitude? Where does the gratitude come in? Does the gratitude come in when all of the things you bitch and moan about are just handed to you?
No, because it's just like how you say that I'll always find something to be upset about with everything.
You will.
When it comes to what's the phrase?
I don't know. What is the phrase?
Entitlement. When it comes to entitlement, there will never be enough.
No.
There will never be enough, because it's like the age old, if you give somebody a taste, then they come to expect more.
Yeah.
Or they come to expect at least,
they take a mile.
Exactly. They come to expect at least that much. And there's so much to unpack here.
But where does the gratitude come in? I wish we had some of these
the gratitude,
people,
honestly,
like on the phones or something.
The reality is,
I would love to know, like, where does the gratitude come in when you believe you are entitled to?
I was about to answer you, and you cut me off.
You go ahead.
The gratitude doesn't come in at all, because not everyone is conditioned to believe that it's necessary or that it's warranted.
Isn't that horrific, though? Like, I'm like, seriously, like, what kind? Again, I wish we had some of these people like in the wings waiting to explain themselves.
There have
because
been.
I don't understand how you can not be grateful to feel accomplished in, like, if you set out to make a statement and you made it, and like, let's say you didn't get the recognition you wanted, so you're ungrateful for that. You're ungrateful for having had the ability to do exactly what you set out to do.
There have been memes going around for, I don't even know how long, but I've been noticing them more recently, where it's the differences between the generations, and they're listed as such. This generation had the money. This generation got the money. This generation is wondering, where is the money? This generation is not going to ever see any of the money. I'm paraphrasing it because I don't remember exactly how it was. But it's, like we have a song in the band that talks about wealth that will never trickle down. That's like one of the lines in socialism. And I mean, I don't know that I was necessarily ever promised wealth. Like, I like, I don't like the stigma that comes with people's not impression, but like their perception of inheritance.
Okay.
Like, for example, my father just died.
Yeah.
Now, he had assets that are going to be dispersed amongst the family.
Mm-hmm.
the I know people personally who just the thought of that makes them scoff. I know, it's weird. It's just like,
what's it supposed to do? Just sit there?
Like, my parents worked very hard
Yeah.
to provide a good life for our family. And, what was theirs is now going to become ours.
Yes.
And personally, I would much rather have my parents.
Sure.
But whatever they left behind, I am incredibly grateful for, and is going to support us, the kids, my brothers and their families. And, that's a very powerful gift that they left behind.
Yes.
But there are people in the world who are not necessarily as fortunate to have anything to be left to them. And in my experience, it's made them scoff at the idea. It's made them envious.
And that in and of itself is baloney.
But that contributes to people's idea of, lack of opportunity, or this class system that exists, that they think that people, there are people in the world that just live to keep everyone down and keep everyone from attaining wealth or success, or keeping people in poverty.
Yeah.
I
don't doubt that there are.
I'll tell you something. I was, as far as like nepotism goes, like, and for those who don't know what nepotism is, it's when,
Google
you're yeah, there you go.
Do the work yourselves.
My father and brother allowed me to work in the business that they,
the business they've chosen.
Yeah, exactly. And I wasn't paid much more than minimum wage when I worked for them. So it's not like I was getting, I certainly wasn't living high off the hog at that time. And I had to be very resourceful with my income. I always have had to be that way.
Yeah.
But, you have people in the world that think, like, that would criticize me for even getting that. And where am I going with this?
Where are you going with this? Are you...
I'm trying to bring it home to the idea that I am grateful for all that I've received in this life.
Okay.
And all that has been done for me. And I've tried to reciprocate that.
That's it. That's it right there.
Listen, the truth is I haven't always been great at reciprocating it, but I have tried.
That is the point, though, right? Isn't it?
But let me take it a step further, because there are people that I personally know, not just the ones that would scoff at, what I had already said, but also ones who don't feel the same way, who don't feel that reciprocation is necessary, that don't feel like anyone's entitled to reciprocation, and certainly not as entitled as they are to whatever they feel the world isn't giving them.
Now this ties into, okay, now we did the podcast I listened to. Now let me tell you about the book I just finished reading, okay?
You've finished so many books.
So yesterday I finished reading a book that I have literally had on my shelf for years. Tim Gunn wrote Gunn's Golden Rules in 2010, okay? This is how old this book is. That's 15 years ago. And it was essentially set out to be a book about common decency and etiquette. And it started talking about essentially the idea of be kind. And he said what I say constantly, that being kind to someone is literally one of the easiest things you can do. Mm-hmm. It is literally one of the easiest things you can do. Say thank you. When someone holds a door for you, say thank you. Don't presume that they're patronizing you. You know what I mean? Like, when you hear, the whole old adage about how if you hear hooves galloping, you don't think it's a zebra. You think it's a horse. Your brain doesn't go, oh, there's a zebra. The simplest solution is usually the correct one. And in that same vein, you don't have to presume that someone who has something that you don't, that may have achieved something that you've always wanted, is doing it to oppress you. And I feel like that is rampant right now, that everyone needs to feel oppressed. We need to perpetuate victimization in order to I don't know what's the achievement there? Because instead of being grateful for what you do have, you have to get pissed off at all of the things that other people have that you don't, although you could. But you have to convince yourself and others that you can't, that you never could.
You know, something that I've wrestled with for a very long time is the idea of it, when it comes down to employment, like what really constitutes at like not adequate employment, but like meaningful employment. Like out of all the jobs that I've had,
Yeah.
and I've had a lot of them, it's not like your average person off the street couldn't be taught to do any of those things.
Right.
And in my experience, when I look at the kinds of jobs that I have never had, but, you know, may take an interest in, I'm fairly certain that if somebody were to sit down and teach me, I could pull it off fairly easily and fairly quickly. There are certain jobs that I think I could probably never do because no amount of education would, you know, put me in a comfortable enough position to do those jobs adequately. Those are left to the specialists.
I think that it's not just skill, though. When it comes to, I want to call it fulfilling employment, because yes, anyone can adequately be charged with performing a task. But if you take customer service, for example, any form of customer service, you can be taught how to interact with the customers, how to properly engage, how to de-escalate situations, how to please and you know, and to provide a pleasant experience for customers, right? What you cannot teach, however, is someone to want to be a part of that situation. You can't, like, you can put me on a sales floor and be like, okay, we need you, here's the information about these products, we need you to sell them. Never in a million years could you get me to want to do that, though. I don't want to do that. That's why I enjoyed my last couple of jobs, because I wasn't involved in trying to convince people that they want something or convince people that I back a product and everything. I got to sit down and look at the numbers and enjoy the success of watching the business grow.
I don't think that's something you can really teach. I honestly, based on the kind of people I've seen over the course of my life, it's you either have that charisma or you don't.
Exactly.
And if you have that power of persuasion, then you deserve to be in those positions. You can't just, you know, grant that to somebody just because they want it or they think it's owed to them.
But that's just it, is you can grant that. I've watched it happen a lot over the last couple of years. You can grant anyone the opportunity to prove that they can do it, but you cannot instill in them a desire to be a part of it.
Like, I tried to be a cop right out of college.
Yeah.
I couldn't get past the physical test. And honestly, if I had to go into the academy, I probably would have flunked out right away, because seeing what a lot of cops have to deal with in, like, you don't think about we see police out on the street, pulling people over, writing tickets, you know, flagging down construction zones and things like that. We see them doing the easy stuff.
Yeah.
We don't see cops when they have to go to crime scenes or when they have to actually take down, you know, somebody who's fleeing the scene. We don't have to see cops at death scenes when they go to with the medical examiners to pick up bodies.
Yeah.
Like, you know, we don't see them doing the stuff that they don't want to talk about when they take that uniform off.
Right.
And I honestly don't think I'd have the stomach for it.
I was geared up to be a teacher for a long, long time. I was gung-ho about it. I created curricula and I was really excited about it. But upon entering into an institution, like a school, not like a loony bin or anything. The bureaucracy is what, you know, you see these people, teachers that you've had who, you know, you would say they were such a good teacher and everything. They are ground down under all the fucking bureaucracy. And it is a struggle to want to do that. And I commend them for sticking it out, because I sure as shit didn't. I was like, there is so much fucking red tape. All I want to do is stand in front of a class and talk about books.
These are the kinds of things I wish that we would refrain from using metaphors on, because again, like if I didn't know anything and I was listening to this podcast, I'd want to be like, what does she mean by red tape? What does she mean by bureaucracy? What does she mean by...
Well, bureaucracy is literal.
But that's just it. We can't presume that listeners automatically know what we're referring to when we use these phrases.
Well, there are several dictionaries out there today. So I recommend stopping by your local bookstore and grabbing one. They also, I've been told, have an app for it. There's at least one, I guarantee.
All right.
I'm not in the business of holding hands for people.
I understand that, but we're trying to allow for civil discourse, and
yes. And my civil discourse is maybe a little bit more pretentious than some people want it to be.
See,
that's because I have the Vanessa Huxtable vocabulary in me. Okay?
Vanessa?
I talk in big words most of the time.
Right. And I understand those big words because I took the SATs and I studied the flashcards and all that stuff. But, some of those same people might scoff at our big vocabularies. And
I'm here to say I don't care. All right? I'm sorry, not sorry. But the fact of the matter is that I am grateful to have the knowledge that I worked so hard to have.
As am I.
And I am not about to dumb myself down. I mean, I'm a silly goose most of the time, but the fact of the matter is I like using the knowledge that I have.
As do I. What I don't appreciate is when somebody throws that in my face as if it's something to be ashamed of.
Oh, I would never.
I know you would never,
I would
but
never.
I know people who have and would.
And shame on those people.
But see, that's just it. Those are the kind of people that complain that they don't get the same opportunities as people like us. And the thing is, I mean, I'm inclined to say we're nothing special, but I mean, maybe we are.
I don't think we're anything. Well, I mean, I think we're special, but
right?
I mean, I don't think we're anything. I don't think we're anything, remarkable.
But I don't think like I've attained anything that
is unattainable to the people en masse.
Exactly.
Yeah. No. Why? 5,000% agree.
Like, there's nothing stopping anybody I've talked to on the street from going and applying to the post office and trying to become a mail carrier. There's nothing like.
People say that they can't have certain things.
People want to be directed. People want to be pointed in the direction. They want to be handheld. They want to be guided.
They want things handed to them. They want the work done for them. Mm-hmm. And my question is that even in the event that you find someone who will, some sort of mentor who will guide you, Jiminy Cricket-like, through your life, will you, in fact, be grateful for that?
It baffles me that we're living in a time where you have people that are so attached to their Mick jobs. And when I say Mick jobs, I mean like McDonald's-esque jobs, where you have to do the bare minimum of thinking. Yeah. You just follow, the diagram in front of you to make, whatever. And the fact that, McDonald's employees now get $15 an hour and other jobs of that ilk get, whether it's minimum wage or whatever, they're getting upwards of $20 an hour. And it's just like, that's supposed to be the first job you have that you eventually graduate from into another more respectable, more responsible, better paying job.
Well, that's just it, is that if a for lack of a better way of putting it, and again, not to poo-poo on the people who do these jobs, because I wouldn't do that, but if you are going to, if you can live, if you can subsist off of a no skills kind of job, then why bother developing skills?
See, that's just it. If we make it so that you can thrive on a no skills job, then no one would ever aspire to anything more.
And think of all of the the guidance positions that we would lose out on. You're talking teachers, counselors, therapists, doctors, and everything like that. I've known plenty of people who have gotten into fields and realized that it's not for them. I was one of them. And you it's not that you didn't want to do the work. It's not that you didn't want to, it's just you realize that the joy that you thought you would feel for performing those tasks isn't as great as you thought it would be. It's not as fulfilling as you thought it would be. But I personally am grateful to have had the opportunity to try and, for lack of a better way of looking at it, fail at it. I'm grateful for the failures that I've had, because what doesn't kill you does make you stronger in one way or another. And if you fail at something, then God damn it, learn from it. And be grateful for that failure. Don't look at it and be like, oh, well, I got the dust kicked out of me. It's like, no, you didn't.
We are kind of standing on a soapbox here.
Is this the soapbox episode?
We've done a lot of soapbox episodes because we are the slowly aging generation that's trying to tell the next one, how to live their lives and how to stop complaining.
No, I will not do that though. I will not. I don't tell you, my husband, I love you, love of my life. I don't tell you how to live your life, and I would never tell an up and coming generation how to live their life. But the same way that you used to try and, make suggestions to your dad about how to make his life easier, I would gladly offer my knowledge of a situation or a subject matter and everything in order to make a child's life maybe a little bit easier.
I do that every single day with the kids that I work with, because they, all they care about is getting done as fast as they can and taking off. And I go, do you realize how much money you're giving up on right now? Do you realize that I went through this when I was in your shoes, and it took me it took me becoming what we call career status to realize that I missed out on so many opportunities, that I gave up so much money, and that people told me for years, they're like, stop doing what you're doing. Stop doing what you're doing. You're going to mess things up for everybody. And sure as shit, that's what happened. And I learned the hard way, and I'm trying to impart this same wisdom on these kids so they don't make my mistake, but some of them are just going to have to learn the hard way.
But my question to you is, how many of them are grateful or thankful to you for the suggestion?
I don't think any of them are, because when I try to tell them these things, I can tell they're looking right through me.
And that's my problem.
Because I have to ask them periodically, are you paying attention? Are you listening to me? I sound like my parents and every teacher I've ever had, and I feel kind of silly doing it, but it's like, it's coming from a good place. I don't want them making my mistakes. It's the same thing when I try to talk to the kids, the children, like
the actual children.
I don't want them repeating my mistakes, but as you've pointed out to me many times,
they gotta.
I can't save everybody.
I personally think that everyone should make their own mistakes, even if they're the same mistakes that people before them have made.
Listen, I tell Henry this all the time. Like, I'm still making mistakes. I'm still making mistakes that I'm learning from, even at 37 years old.
I look at the kids. I look at the boys, right? And I look at them, not figuring things out for themselves. And
that's tough.
It concerns me, because I know you want to step in and show them how to do it, which to a degree I think is fantastic. But there comes a point at which it's like, okay, stop.
I was eager to figure things out for myself to a fault, because sometimes that would get me in trouble, being too eager, being too ready to prove myself, because I always we've talked about this a million times, how invalidated I've felt throughout my life. But I to this day still always feel like I need to prove myself. And I'm seeing in the kids, and I'm seeing in coworkers, and I'm seeing other people who just don't care about those sorts of things. They don't care about, they genuinely don't care about other people's perceptions of them. And what's important to us is not important to them, just like how what's important to other people is not important to us. How many times, we did that episode a couple of weeks ago about what's his name who had been here, and we got in that fight, and
what's his name?
I don't want to. Anyway, and how he insisted that I aspire to how he lives. Always. And what he is, and it's just, and I had to tell him something. Now, you pointed out in that episode that when he would call and I would tell him about things going on in my life that were important to me, he would just go, Now, when he would tell me to aspire to the things he had, I didn't give him that same sort of response. Yeah. But I tried to explain to him in depth. It's like, no, I'm okay with my life. I'm okay with what I've accomplished and where I'm at. I didn't dismiss him.
Right.
I listened to everything he had to say, because that's what a friend does.
Yes.
That's what a grateful person. I was grateful for a long time for his friendship until I realized that he wasn't being a friend.
Yeah.
He wasn't offering me anything that was going to enrich my life. Mm-hmm. So, and then that was another powerful lesson that I've developed through being around you. It's when to let go.
That was another aspect of what Gene Simmons and Mike Rowe were talking about, actually. And it was the philanthropy that Gene Simmons actually does in Africa with children, where he provides meals for all of these kids as much as they can, handle and take home with them. But they must commit to going to school.
See, that's the catch. But he gets a bad rap because he's a multi-million or billionaire or whatever he is, and he has made his millions by licensing the KISS logo on all these ridiculous things. Yeah. And his dealings seem silly to certain people, and that's what gives them ammo to criticize him.
But the thing with the kids, though, that will be criticized because with someone with his money, why can't he just donate? Why is there a catch? It's like, the catch is that these kids learn how to better themselves and therefore take care of themselves and learn how to be grateful for the things that they are afforded the opportunity to have.
I think
it's not like, it's not like a deal breaker. It's not like they're like, oh, you got it. You come to school or you don't get this food. It's like,
I think I mentioned this on an earlier podcast. When we had the store, we had a customer. Guy had his own business. He started from the ground up, could buy himself anything he wanted at any point. And we would have cigarettes together, and he'd say to me, when are you going to stop living off mommy and daddy's money? Oh, yeah. He was brutal.
I beg your pardon.
And I would tell you, I'm like, he goes, he said, you live within your means. And I'm like, well, yeah, I live very comfortably with what I make here. I mean, I get to work with my family all the time, and that's enough for me. But he persisted. When are you going to stop living off mommy and daddy's money? And it's just like, it's not really mommy and daddy's money.
You're working for it.
I'm working for the business.
Yeah.
Like, my paycheck comes out of the sales that we make in the business. They're not coming out of my parents' pocket.
Yeah.
And I'm not, I was making, I think when I started, I was making $9 an hour, and that was in 2009.
That's pretty good.
It was for a 21-year-old kid at that time. Yeah. And I stretched it as best I could. I mean, but that irked me. It's like, okay, I get it. You have a nice car. You have nice things and everything. You've done very well for yourself. But it's not fair of you to come and criticize me. Now, that's not really what set me out to acquire more than that. I had always, like I said before, I always wanted to prove myself. I always wanted to get to a point where I didn't need to rely on my family for anything. Right. And I did get to that point because when I bought this place, I started telling my mom, I'm like, Mom, stop trying to help me. Yeah. And you pointed out that, like Dad always had to pay when we would go out to eat, or he'd always, try to do whatever. It's just like, I needed to let them know that I could be self-sufficient. Mm-hmm. But no matter how self-sufficient I tried to portray myself as, they still would never stop trying because, I mean, I guess they needed to feel useful. They needed to feel,
Their success, I think, would have been based around being able to take care of the family. And raising you kids to be raising you guys to be self-sufficient family men is while certainly a success, what then? You know, like, okay, we want our kids to be, mature, responsible adults who can take care of themselves and their families. Now we've reached that. Now what? And I think that's just it, is that it wasn't enough, because their prime objective was to ensure that they could take care of this family. And they pass it on to you, that's for fucking sure.
Because I have taken those lessons and I've tried to impart them onto people that I come in contact with. It's not always very well received.
Yep.
I try to explain myself as best I can and where it comes from, but...
And that's just it. And especially when it comes to paying for things, like, a lot of the times, and especially nowadays, if you try to buy someone lunch or something like that and everything,
I think there's an ulterior
motive. Can I Venmo you or something, like, oh no, don't worry about it. A lot of people will take that as an affront, like, you think that they can't handle it. Like, oh, like it's patronizing and stuff. And it's just like,
when did we get to that?
Like, that's what I'm saying, is that, like, why can't you just be grateful for the friendship and then you pay it forward? Even if you don't reciprocate in kind, pay it forward. Someone just did something kind and generous for you. It's the same thing as, the idea of just holding a door for someone, then hold it for the next person. It's like, what's the big deal?
Till the day my father died, he insisted on paying every time we ate.
Oh, yeah.
He would fight me tooth and nail for that check. And sometimes I got away with it, especially on his birthday. Like, I managed to, I'm like, Dad, it's your birthday. You're not paying on your birthday.
Yeah.
But, and I think, like, honestly, the truth of the matter is, the fact that I was so adamant about going for the check myself is because I was trying to be like him.
Yeah. It's aspirational. It is.
I was trying to do what he would do. I was trying to exhibit behavior I learned from a man that I probably should have expressed a lot more gratitude towards.
And I think that that's important to recognize that, like, while you have the opportunity to express your gratitude, in the event that you run out of chances to express that gratitude, it doesn't go away. It doesn't, you don't lose it. It's like, well, now I can't do it. I can't thank them anymore. I can't, show them how much I appreciate them and everything. So, well, I guess that's it. No, that's not it. That's when you get to pay it forward. That's when you get to take that gratitude and put it into something else, like you, and in so doing, it's an honor to someone that you don't get to be grateful to anymore. You know what I mean? And that's what I just don't understand. Like, if you pay anyone, a perfect stranger or your best fucking friend, you pay anyone a simple kindness, why can't they do it too?
Because not everyone's built the same.
I don't get that.
Not everyone...
Someone explain it to me, please.
Not everyone...
I don't understand that.
...grows up with the same influences. Not everyone is exposed to the same stimuli.
We've said that before.
And again, we can't be responsible for saving the whole totality of the world.
And I don't want to save them. I say, if they're going to drown, let them drown. But the fact of the matter is I will never comprehend it.
You want to be, if people out there want to be ungrateful, they want to be, snotty and snarky and whatever, go right ahead. Yeah. Just use your fucking turn signal. Don't cut me off. And if you do, expect to be run over.
I just don't fucking get it. Like, the idea that if you come from nothing, then you expect the handout. You deserve the handout? No. You work hard, and no matter if you achieve ultimate success or just the ability to get by day to day, you're grateful for that. Like, I just don't get it. And honest to God, people, please pass it on, because kindness is literally the cheapest thing you can give somebody.
Listen, I can, with firsthand experience say that.
Oh my God, I've gone deaf.
I can with firsthand experience say that money does not buy happiness.
No.
I remember my mother telling me that when her father died, that's when she started shopping at QVC. One of John's friends told me that, he was unhappy for a long time and bought a bunch of crap to fill a void that could never be filled.
Mm-hmm.
And, at certain times I did the exact same thing. And it's just like, this is just me. I can't speak for anybody else. But after losing people in my life important to me, not just the family members, but friends, we have a great many friends we've lost along the way as well. That's when it really hit. That's when I started to appreciate the real important stuff. And that is, the not traditions, traditions and and the habits and the this is what happens. Your brain just goes.
Yeah, I wish I could follow.
The everyday occurrences. What's the word? Come on.
No, idiosyncrasy.
No,
I got nothing. We got to get the flashcards out.
It's gonna hit me as soon as we're done.
That's fine. We'll edit it in later. Okay, so what about them when they're gone? You're gonna be thinking about this word for the rest of the night.
This is what happens when your mother, who's like an SAT, encyclopedia, is not here.
Well, okay, so what about them?
When they're not there anymore, when the daily, everyday occurrences, the things you become used to with certain people,
the customs, the I understand what you're talking about.
I want to cut this whole section out.
Well, it's too late now, buddy.
I have such brain fog. Oh, God damn it.
You're okay.
I guess.
You're okay. You can be grateful for the points you made before this one.
What points?
I don't remember. We'll have to go back and listen.
The three-pointer?
We'll have to go back and listen to the tape. I understand why people believe that they are entitled to things. I just believe that they're wrong.
You're wrong.
And really, that's the period at the end of the sentence, is that I believe that entitlement is wrong.
Yeah, it is. It absolutely is.
I just, I believe in karma.
Especially my own.
I believe in karma, and the fact of the matter is that I believe that people who want the ease of having everything handed to them.
But we're all guilty of that,
I
too.
believe that it will come back to bite them in the ass.
It sure will.
And that's why I would prefer to work my ass off to achieve what I want and live the life that I want. And in achieving that life, I don't believe that I now that I've achieved it, now what else do I get?
Routines.
You nailed it. Routines.
It sounded better in my head. Because
well, at least you nailed it.
Somebody I was talking to recently said that. I was explaining how, because Dad's not here anymore, is that our weekly routines are non-existent now, because I can't just pick up the kids and go see him and go do what we normally do. It's like, the routines are what make your relationships.
But now you are able to take that time and honor the time that you would have been able to spend together.
Look at how long it took me to think of that.
And but you did, and you nailed it. And
why don't let's
we can call it.
Before
There's a gnat in here. I wonder if I cut. No, I didn't.
Would you stop killing?
I didn't catch that one.
Kill these things every week.
Anyway, thank you for tuning in. This was a blast. This has been That Talking Podcast. There's so much more to say, but we're gonna run over, so we're gonna cut it right there. And
are you grateful for this podcast?
I am grateful.
Are you grateful for our listeners?
I am grateful for our listeners. I'm grateful for the support that people have shown for this show. If you go to our website. You can become a
channel
monthly
member.
You can become a channel member and a full-time supporter of this show for as little as $3 a month and keep us on the air. And we have a good time here. And you can send us a text message also through Apple Podcasts, as well as going to thattalkingpodcast.buzzsprout.com and send us questions and comments and argue with us. We don't care. Yeah, thank you, Andy. I'm grateful to you for all of the work that you have put into not only our life together, but being my partner on this show, because I know I really had to twist your arm to get into it.
And no,
I'm not a good. I've always been very good at taking direction. So it's been difficult to direct you. But I appreciate your receptivity to it as well, because it's definitely made it a little bit easier on me. And I appreciate you for all of the work you did, especially for our theme song.
I'm speechless.
Oh, babe.
You know how much I appreciate you.
I know it. You don't even have to say it. You can show me later. You have a show coming up
Friday,
Berlin. This coming Friday, Berlin.
At the pizza joint,
Pine Loft Pizza, right in Berlin, Connecticut. Yeah. Tax Collectors and Harlots. Find them on Instagram. Find us on Instagram. DT Andy and JJ Star with 2 R's. And Coat of Arms Tattoo Gallery, as well as Love Hard Art. Get ready, because October is going to sneak up on me. I know it is. And October 3rd, 4th, and 5th, the New York Blood and Ink Convention is back in White Plains, New York. I'm trying really hard to get ready for it, and I have a feeling it's going to be crunch again.
I'm ready to cut open that watermelon.
We got a watermelon?
No, that's code for cracking open a bottle of Jack
Oh,
Daniels.
shit! There's booze in the house. Well, let's get into it.
Don't give them that. They got booze in it.
Well, that is that. Thank you again for tuning in. And from the 3 of us at That Talking Podcast, I'm JJ Star.
And I'm Downtown Andy.
And we'll talk to you later.